Hello, music fans, music collectors, and all hobbyists. Welcome to the Car King Sports and Variety Show. I am your host, the Catman, Brian Cataquet, a.k.a. the Card King. We are live on ABC's KMET 1490am.com, your number one spot right here for news and talk on the West Coast. I thank everyone for tuning in this morning. On the program, I welcome to the show renowned singer, songwriter, with his new single, which is currently out now, titled Antarctica. I welcome in the great Tom Ciurczak. Tom, great to have you.
Hey, Brian. Glad to be back.
My pleasure. And, you know, exciting news. Your new single is out now, and in a few weeks, your latest album will be out. Tell us all about it, Tom. What's going on?
Well, actually, I recorded this a while back. I recorded 20 songs at Sunset Sound, which is kind of a famous studio, right? And we split it into two albums, and the first one came out last year as Yorick, and the remaining 10 songs coming out now as Antarctica. And it's kind of interesting. I really didn't know which one to release first. They're both equally as good. They're both completely different type of albums, but I think very enjoyable. They're very album-oriented rock is the best way I can describe it. You know, it's more for, mature listeners.
So this complete album, from what I understand, I read online, is coming out September 18th, correct?
Yes.
And the new single is out now. Tell us how long it took you to create this fabulous work, because I heard parts of it. It's really terrific.
It took a bit because, I wanted to do a ghost story. So I started researching ghost stories, and, I'm Googling through it, and I'm looking Amityville Horror, and everybody knows that story. And I come across this story about Deception Island down in the South Shetlands by Antarctica. And it's a place where they used to do a lot of whale hunting and rendering the whales for their oil and then shipping it out to like New York for machines and for, lighting and stuff like that. And they say that the island's haunted now because, you can hear all of these ghosts of these dead whales when you go there. It's completely abandoned, right? But they say it's this haunted island, and you go there and they have all the old equipment from when they used to process the whales, and they got whale skeletons still on the beach and stuff like that. And so I was like, wow, that's really a kind of a cool story about this Deception Island. So I looked into it more, and I came up with this whole story about hunting whales and the ghosts of these whales, and how they're it became a Save the Whales type of story, which was really cool, which wasn't my intent. It really was intended to be a ghost story. And then as I started to write it, I was like, well, what kind of musical background do I want to put into this? And I leaned on my, 1970s youth, and we came up with a Led Zeppelin almost type of riff. So it's got a Zeppelin-esque type of feel to it in the main part of the song. But I also wanted to do something that had a little eerie feeling. So I came up with an intro and an outro where I use a lot of, minor chords and fifth intervals to give this, they use that a lot in a lot of spooky and horror movies, that type of style with minors. And I wanted to come up with this really spooky type of eerie sounding intro and outro, kind of like a Captain Nemo, meets the Phantom of the Opera type of thing. And then I, bookended that to the Led Zeppelin part and the story part of the song, and it came out really good. I was very, very happy with the way that the whole song finally came out. To me, it's like, it's like painting, I guess, for people, but it's songwriting has been for me, and I've been doing this a very long time, so it's quite an art form. I really enjoy it.
It is, and that's one of your strong traits, Tom. Very innovative in your work, and I want to play a little sample for the audience to hear. Let's hear Antarctica by Tom Ciurczak. And you just heard Antarctica by Tom Ciurczak. I mean, it's brilliant stuff, Tom. I mean, I really like it. It sounds like a little bit like a progressive rock tune.
Yeah, it's got a lot of progressive rock elements in it. You know, it's from I was always a big prog fan, and you know, I think it's seeped into my DNA. So there's a lot of that in this song.
Absolutely. And I believe that this has to be one of your most ambitious works. I mean, this track is like it's like a 3-act film, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, I had so much fun coming up with this song, not only from the lyrical story concept, but you know, all the music that goes into it. And we did cut off there's about a 60-second build-up intro, which is really spooky and eerie before we get into the Zeppelin-esque type of guitar, and the same thing with the outro. And so it has a little bit of a close to the edge type of, you know, intro that Yes did with their song. But I really very proud of it.
I tell you, it sounds fabulous. And before I forget, we have to mention, where can the audience pick up this new track? Very important.
Well, right now, it's only available for streaming, but it's everywhere. It's, you know, Spotify, it's Apple Music, it's YouTube, it's Pandora. So please go out to wherever you stream music and stream it. And if you like it, make sure you follow me and share it with your friends. A lot of those things are very important to the way that these streaming sites work their algorithms. They really look at various ratios, and you know, streaming and following and sharing and saving are all very important to the type of ratios that they use. And then what that does is it gets you onto their various let's say Spotify, for example, Spotify playlists. So this is true with all artists. That's the way that whole system works. So and I don't think a lot of people realize it, but you know, we've gone into this whole new digital age, and they study the way that you know, people react to music on their sites, and that, feeds a whole mathematical formula as to how often it's played and where it's played and everything. So very interesting. It's beyond. I should have taken more math in college, I guess.
Well, Tom, I want to ask you, let's talk a little bit about the evolution of Tom Ciurczak, your musical influences. Let's go back a little bit. Who were your musical influences growing up?
Well, actually, it started with my dad. My dad was a professional musician at West Point, the military academy in New York, right? Um, and they had a 125 piece, band there, and he was stationed there for 30 years. And what they did is they put all the people in the band in the same area they called the band quarters. So when I grew up, just as a little kid, just walking around the neighborhood, everybody's playing instruments, all kinds of, instruments, horns and reeds and everything you can imagine. And, and I would always go from when I was the littlest to all these different concerts they would have. And so I was exposed to big band music, classical music, everything from, the moment I can remember. But then, of course, in 1964, I think February 9th, I call it the Big Bang. That's when the Beatles showed up on Ed Sullivan, and me and a million other kids, we all decided this is what we want to do with music, and we all picked up guitars and grew our hair and decided we're going to be like the Beatles, because that whole moment in time changed it for a lot of people. So that's and from then on out, I started playing guitar. I was, I think, 10 years old.
So now you're originally from New York, and then you moved out to the West Coast.
Correct. I was working for a company upstate New York, and they wanted to put a West Coast office. And they said, Tom, pack up your Volkswagen. We're going to move you out to San Francisco. And I was like, aye, aye. And away I went. And, I was living in San Francisco for about 5 years, which was absolutely just fantastic. And I really, the music scene in San Francisco at that moment in time was really, really just booming. I mean, it was like a second renaissance of music up in San Francisco. I hated to leave to go to LA, but again, I think the timing was right. And I wound up going in, I think, 84, 85. They dragged me kicking and screaming down to LA from San Francisco. And I've been here ever since, but I absolutely love it down here. And again, I hit LA when their music scene started to explode. Now, for me, I kind of stayed on the sidelines quite a bit because, I had a job and I had to raise a family and everything. But my my main thing was always writing songs, so I was always working on my craft in terms of writing songs, and I would go out and I'd perform at open mics and things of that nature. And then, finally, I went to, of all things, I saw something in Rolling Stone that Steve Earle was going to have a camp up in upstate New York for songwriters. And I was like, I think I'll go to that. And I guess 100 other people just like me saw it. And I went to this, when it was 20, 2017, 2014, that's when it was. And I go up there and I tell everybody I met my lost tribe, who was everybody that, spent their life working as a songwriter. And, we all bonded really well together. And I realized from, going to these picking parties every night till dawn that, I wanted to pursue it more than I had. And I came home and I told my family, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to record an album. Everybody else there was giving me their albums when I left, and I'm like, I'm going to do that too. And that set me out on an adventure of, you know, putting together a band, going out playing live, winding up playing at all kinds of iconic places in LA, from, the Whiskey to the Troubadour to the Viper Room, and recording, God, on the seventh album since all of that sparked back at that Steve Earle camp for songwriters.
That's amazing. You mentioned the whiskey. Didn't you do a show there with Tommy Two-Tone?
Yeah, I did.
That must have been some experience.
That was fun. Nice guy. But I'm always looking, and I'll take the shows if they're anytime if they match up to my sound, and he matched up to my sound so perfectly. And it was a great night. What a great place. I mean, you want to talk about ghosts. There's a lot of ghosts over there in the walls at the whiskey. I mean, that's a place where the Doors were the house band, and everybody from Frank Zappa and the Mothers to the Byrds all played at that place. I mean, I'm like a little kid in a museum walking around looking at the photos on the walls.
Now, a couple of questions on your songwriting creative process, if I may. Um, to you, what comes first for you, melody or lyrics?
Oh, that I've seen a lot of people ask this question. I watched an interview with Billy Joel, and he said the exact same thing that I did. Is I write the music first, and then after the music, then I come up with the melodies part of me, but I come up with the lyrics. But I also kind of been researching what I want to do for the lyrical, story. What kind of song is this going to be? Is this going to be a love song? Is this going to be some type of story song? And so I've done a lot more work in crafting the lyrics over the years to refine my process. And but I always like to come. It's because I'm a guitar player first, so I'm always doodling on the guitar, and I guess that's kind of prompted the whole writing process is, doing different things on the guitar and saying, well, that's different. Nobody's really done anything quite like that. And so you build a song out of that. And then you got to come back and go, well, now I've got to stretch it and compress it and move this here and there to kind of come up with the words that'll fit into this. And it's really interesting because, a lot of people, when they first start, they write verse, chorus, bridge. But as get into it more and more and more, you start playing around with song structure. And this song itself has a, a lot of crazy structure to it because it's got a different type of intro. The verse is on the first verse and the second verse are different lengths, different rhythms. We do a half chorus and a full chorus. Then we do different intros to um, uh, the bridge. A lot of little different pieces that probably come from the prog influences that I had growing up, but that starter songwriters wouldn't do. And the more that you get into it, it's like anything else, the better you get at the craft. And so you got to write a lot of bad songs to write some good ones, I think.
And we're talking with Tom Ciurczak. His new album will be out in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks, right? Titled Antarctica.
Yes,
Uh,
September 18th.
September 18th. Yeah, so make sure everyone picks up a copy when it's released. Before I let you go, Tom, we have to mention your album Yorick because to me, that's really the album. I don't know if you agree, that put you on the map.
I did it won some nice little awards. It came in first in Americana Highways listeners poll, and it was like 500 albums in that poll, and it got voted number one. And there was a lot of big names on uh, that released albums in 2025. And like I said, the Yorick album and the Antarctica album, 20 songs, I recorded them all at Sunset Sound Studio, which again, just like the whiskey is like, Uber, it's one of the meccas for, musicians. I mean, the Doors recorded their first three albums. Van Halen's recorded the Stones recorded Let It Bleed and Exile on Main Street. Um, Janis Joplin recorded Pearl, the Beach Boys recorded Pet Sounds. I go on and on. And that's in Studio One where I recorded. Prince recorded Purple Rain there. It's phenomenal the amount of classic albums that were recorded in that place. And I mentioned the ghost in my song and the ghost in the whiskey. Well, there's a lot of ghosts in the walls over there at Sunset Sound too.
And after creating a great piece of work like Yorick, it must be so difficult to try to come up with something that can even compare to that. Do you think Antarctica matches?
Oh, I do. Like it really, as I said, we recorded 20 songs and we divided them into two albums. And we took the songs that we thought fit the flow with Yorick and we put them in that one. But the Antarctica is a little different, but they're all from the same it could have been one double album if people listen to double albums these days. But yeah, I think that it's equally as good as York. We were going to release it first and just was really a flip of a coin that we released York first and Antarctica second.
Unbelievable. Now, let me ask you, performance and studio life. Do you prefer recording in the studio or performing live? I would think live, no? You get a lot of energy from the audience.
Both of them are a lot of fun. I absolutely enjoy performing live. We will have an album release show coming out September 18th at a local bar here in Southern California called Max off of Crown Valley Highway for people that are from this area. It's down in Mission Viejo. I've got another pretty interesting show coming up in October at the Whiskey A Go-Go. We'll be opening for Max Weinberg from Springsteen's band with Max Weinberg's Jukebox. So that's October 25th. So that's going to be one you want to pencil in because that's going to be a great show. And we've got some others coming up, local clubs down here in Orange County and in LA. But those are the two that come immediately to mind.
I mean, do you have any who is your dream musical collaboration that you wish you could perform with? Do you have one? There's probably so many, but
I'm really a child of the classic rock of the 70s, and I mentioned many times when Springsteen showed up on the scene, I had to again be dragged to go see that guy play, and he really changed my view on performing and playing. Up until that moment, I was like a huge Genesis fan. And, I thought, Peter Gabriel in the Genesis era was like the state of the art. And then when I saw Springsteen, which is completely a different style, but at that moment in time, it was kind of a jazz blues almost because he was doing these 30-minute songs, which I liked at the time. It really changed. So, I mean, those are the two bands that, they're the top of my list, and they couldn't be any more different, right? It's Springsteen and Genesis. But those are the guys I would love to be involved with.
Now, what kind of your music is so eclectic. What kind of genre would you classify your total work as? Where would you classify your work as? What genre?
Well, I usually say rock / heartland rock because heartland rock is where Springsteen and Tom Petty and John Mellencamp and all the singers, rock and roll singer-songwriters are classified in that heartland rock group. So I use that. And in today's world, the big umbrella that those two fit under is Americana. So the Americana is the big umbrella, and the smaller segments underneath that would be rock or heartland rock.
And just out of curiosity, any genre you want to try next?
You're gonna laugh, but I'm already in the studio and we're recording right now for 2027.
Really?
And we have, I mean, I have some very different type of theme songs in terms of storylines that are going to grab a lot of people's interest. And I've expanded some of the styles that I haven't used. There'll be, blues materials. There'll be, Black Sabbath sounding songs. There'll be Santana sounding songs, which are, often a whole different direction than anything I've really written before. But it all kind of melts down in a melting pot as sounding like me, because once you layer my voice and my story telling style over it, it all becomes, my style. But I try to change that texture underneath it so that, it's not always the same. You want to catch the listener's ear, so the listener is curious and they want to keep listening longer and longer. That's why I said earlier, I try to write for mature listeners. And I do think it's really important, that you do have ear candy. It's important with, whether it's guitar hooks or musical hooks or lyrical hooks, because that's what catches a lot of people initially to a song. And they start humming along to a song, but they don't understand what the song's about. But then later on, you hope they dig deeper into it and they like the whole, construct and the story and the deeper elements in the song, which is what I got from Prague.
And Tom, I have 1 minute left. Mention your website and where you're going to be at, your tour coming up. Go right ahead.
The website is tomciurczak.com, and all you got to do is spell my name, and that's the same thing for Spotify and everything. That's Ciurczak, tomciurczak.com. And we have an album release show coming out at Max down in Mission Viejo, September 18th. That's the day the album comes out. And the other big show coming up is with Max Weinberg's Jukebox, and that is October 25th, and that's at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And I hope you guys all come out for that, because they're going to be two great shows. I've got some more coming, but I haven't finalized everything, but should be putting that up on my website pretty soon in the calendar section.
Tom, great job. I really appreciate your time, waking up early this morning. And yeah, best of luck to you. We'll keep in touch.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
Take care. Tom Ciurczak, the new release, Antarctica. Pick up your copy, soon to come. Until next week, happy collecting to all.